Hi, Imogen and Aidan. Thanks for chatting with me today. Can you do a little intro of yourselves for everybody here?
I'm a second year contemporary student at the con, and I came to do this internship because kind of increasingly in my studies, I realized that, doing things that are unfamiliar and a little bit scary is kind of where I had the most valuable learning experiences. So I really wanted to do an internship, and the Backstage one looked the most interesting because I'm really interested in, experimental music and creative innovation. And I think it's just really great that this organization, is trying to kind of really support and extend creatively innovative music and creatively diverse music in Sydney. I think that that kind of emphasis on building a really interesting local scene and supporting people who want to do things that are, really outside the mainstream. It's really important and really aligned with my interests. So that's why I wanted to do it.
Yeah, I'm in my fifth year at the con studying composition. And yeah, I've studied with Damien Barbala at the con, and so that's what really put me on to being able to try and do this internship with Backstage. I really love experimental music and bringing in like multidisciplinary aspects to music. I think that's something that Backstage music does so well. It's about
Mm.
music and art, and yeah, combining those to create really interesting conceptual ideas and musical ideas. Yeah, I think for me, it's really helped um, grow my personal composition practice because I love being surrounded by people who are, I guess, inspired and also work really well in a collaborative way with each other.
Mm.
So yeah, it's been a really positive experience for me so far. Yeah,
I've got to say, it's been really fun working with you guys too. I've really enjoyed getting to know you. So um, it's mutual, which is really cool. So maybe you can tell everybody now a bit about the project that we're working on at the moment, where you guys are kind of learning through a bit of being thrown in the deep end about how to put a gig on. And we were just talking a little bit about ticketing and inviting people to the gig. And you mentioned how it was a little bit scary putting this concert on, which I can totally relate to. That's something that
Mm.
doesn't go away. So yeah, maybe one of you can tell us a little bit about the prompt plus one charcoal gig that you're presenting.
Yeah, so we were given a very open brief by Lamorna and Damien. Basically, Backstage wanted an event for young artists that would kind of like, introduce Backstage music to them, but also kind of give Backstage like an opportunity to sort of, engage with a younger generation and learn about like what their sort of creative needs are and their creative process and stuff like that. Aidan and I from the start really wanted to kind of make this quite an interactive event because we thought that we'd get like people who are, have a really interesting creative practice. We'd sort of draw them in by uh, giving them an opportunity to sort of like share that process kind of in person. Um, so that was kind of our jumping off point. And the prompt plus one idea is basically the prompts are like these little kind of sound art exhibitions in a way that the invitees will sort of put together and kind of collaborate on sort of over the course of the night. And we're up
I
to
think
sort of the ticketing process.
it was really interesting to kind of work and on like finding like an identity of an event because like Imogen and I
Mm,
both we have lots of different creative ideas about like what a like a creative artist meetup would look like.
mm,
But I think like working together to like we had these ideas of charcoal, these ideas of like nature. So thematically bringing those together with a prompt that's going to inspire like young artists to kind of be creative in a space together. It's really fun to like reverse engineer that, and I guess maybe we're not thinking too much into it, but like thinking about what we can put in a space that will really help stimulate artistic conversations, I guess. Yeah,
definitely. And kind of like through doing this, it's really interesting because Aidan and I together were sort of engaging in this like creative process, and all of the kind of steps of that, all of the kind of back and forth of that. But also there's all of these like new practical things that we're sort of figuring out, in terms of
Mm,
putting together like budgeting, finding venues. That was actually like I
yeah.
think a bit of a kind of classic sort of like hurdle at the start. What's a venue that's inspiring, a good size, good location, kind of good cost, like, sort of like suitable within the budget. And then, all of these things about like how many people are coming, how do we invite them, all that kind of stuff. It's all very fresh and, there's sort of a learning process at every stage, which is, I think really, really useful for us to kind of get to sort of like learn about that. Yeah.
Mm,
Yeah,
mm,
totally. I mean, I can't wait to see what you guys come up with. It's going to be really fun. And I also just was having this really funny flashback, well, flash forward to imagining us looking at this video from sometime in the future and seeing where you guys end up in, maybe 10 years' time. Who knows what you'll both be doing, but hopefully this
Man, yeah.
kind of springboard into your kind of professional musical life. So that's quite exciting to think about.
Definitely. And I
definitely.
feel like doing this internship, I'm learning about all of these different kind of avenues in terms of like how you can work as an artist and sort of different roles you can have. Because I mean if you're gonna be like, a musician, um in especially kind of in an ex more kind of experimental space, you do have to sort of have all of these different roles. And I think that this internship sort of like showing me in some ways like parts different ways that can sort of like look, which is really, really exciting. It's a very sort of positive thing to see, I guess.
I
Fantastic.
think the I think the research that was also involved in this internship was like pretty positive for me as well, because it
Mm.
wasn't just um come up with this conceptual idea. It was a lot of like prompts for us that was like, oh, go research similar people that are doing stuff in Sydney, or
Definitely.
research some other styles of works that could go well in this.
Mm.
And I think for me, that's really kind of made me engage with like what other people are doing in Sydney, and
Mm.
also like looking at similar ideas over the world, like internationally as well, like what people
Yeah.
do in this kind of field. So it's, yeah, it's great.